Hello guys, I am so happy to see you. Today we're going to break down the winter of 2026 and 27 into categorical areas region by region in the USA. So first off, just to jump right into it, here are the regions of the USA. Again, I'm no geography expert, so bear with me. The West we have in those areas, then we have I would say the Rocky Mountain areas, then towards Texas, the Southwest, towards the north. Here's the Northern Plains and Great Lakes, then the Southeast to the southeast of that, and the Northeast. So you get the picture. Okay, we're gonna try our best to do a in-depth as much as I can in this short amount of time video on just breaking down the whys, ins, and outs and the analytics of this winter region by region. So let's leave this map alone for a second and get to our first fundamental point of this winter is that we will be in a strong El Nino. That's a given. There's really no questions about that. It could be a super El Nino. But let's just keep it safe and stick with what we do know. And we will see a very strong El Nino this year, no doubt about it. It's already reaching record levels at the current time. So that's one thing I wanted to go over. So again, one factor is our El Nino. I want to go into this as well. I released a video on February of this year when we had this solar storm, which was incredibly powerful on February 25th. And basically, it just released a tremendous amount of solar energy to the entire globe. And I went in on that video. I just rewatched it again, and I made a quote that said, "This solar storm could cause many unusual events," and I gave everyone the freedom to speculate on what those events may be, because there's really no prediction on if you send a bunch of heat and energy into the earth, what that's going to do specifically. But you can also always generally guess on that. But basically, so since I left it an open-ended question rather, I'm thinking honestly that this Super El Nino might be a result of that solar storm, and I think that's pretty decent hypothesis. We see a lot of energy just stream into the earth of record potential, and then later on we see the El Nino form. So again, things take time in the atmosphere. It's like you plant a seed; it takes a while to grow into a plant. So everything in its own due time, of course. So I want to go over, secondly, our sunspot cycle. This baffles me because a lot of people are saying around like 2018 through 2020 that the next solar cycles were going to be very, very small, and that just, if you look here, we're currently in 2025 with a lot of sun activity, and that indicates we're in a very active, intense solar signal. So it just didn't make sense. That's all. And it's the opposite now. We have a lot of solar activity. So that's one factor. We have the El Nino, a lot of solar activity, both provide heat, and a lot of heat. In fact, the number one driver of Earth's heat, and energy and weather in general is the sun, second to the oceans, which are closely correlated to the sun's energy. And then you have everything else like CO2 and every other little factor out there. But so based on that, we're gonna look at potential things that might happen this winter region by region. And so again, in that video I released on February, I mentioned this quote: "This solar storm will influence all facets of our climate. And my hypothesis is that this El Nino is a part of that. So again, that's pretty much just tying things together right there is what I did for you. But in in a cause and effect situation, the effects of that, now that we have an El Nino, are highly speculative at this point. I mean, because there could be a Mordecai El Nino that will send a lot of cold into the USA, or at least a good amount. There are some models that still indicate that, like the Canadian. Just giving you all the facts here so you can kind of think with this with me unbiasedly. And then there's models like the European, which just blowtorch. Um, I'm still in a debacle whether this El Nino. I have a strong feeling in my gut and heart that this El Nino is going to be so strong that it's going to send us a record warm winter. That doesn't mean I'm not backing down. I'm not backing down from my forecast. I'm just kind of leaning into different directions here that it might go in if my forecast does not verify. Um, so yeah, we have the Super El Nino, and essentially what that would do is it would just cause a lot of warmth to rise into the USA because we have such a massive body of ocean heat, which is much more intense than atmospheric heat because of the density of the ocean. It's much more powerful and intense, pound for pound, for lack of a better phrase. So if we get that Super El Nino, you're going to see definitely the South very hot. And I'll go over the other option, the colder option too. And you're going to see not much of the way of any difference in the North, except it might be a little cooler. So we're talking about the Northwest, Northern Plains, Great Lakes, and Northeast. But if this Super El Nino were to occur, areas like the Southeast, the South Central and Texas, and the Southwest, like California and Arizona, we'd just be baking this winter. So that is one potential region by region. But the other optimistic approach to this is that we do get a Mordecai El Nino. And I'm not throwing that out of the bag yet, out of the question. We could very likely potentially have that. So if we do get a Mordecai El Nino, what would happen is we'd have probably still a fair amount of warmth, because don't forget, this will be a strong El Nino regardless, Mordecai or non-Mordecai. But if we get the Mordecai, that changes things around a little bit. That would provide troughing and cold air for a big part of the eastern and central part of the country. And if that were to happen, we can have a setup potentially for snow and cold along the Midwest and Great Lakes, parts of the Southeast, parts of the Midwest like Oklahoma and the Northern Plains, Minnesota, the Dakotas, and anywhere even extending from Montana. So there's really two options here on the table, and I'm not really going to pick one over the other right now because I'm kind of giving you an unbiased look at this potential climate pattern, weather pattern we're going to be in potentially for this winter. So yeah, it's really stressful for me because I don't want to just jump impulsively on one scenario that I'm going to say I know what's going to occur, but I will give you two scenarios that may possibly occur. And again, region by region, I kind of gave that to you, but the main point is that we do still have two options on the table. It's not just that the Jamstick is predicting a Mordecai, which is predicting a cold winter, and I can't wait for that July run to come out, and then we'll do a video on that. But it's also that the Canadian model is predicting a cold winter, and is the underdog sometimes. It's hard to root for, because the Euro is definitely not an underdog. It's been the main model for years and decades now, but the Canadian is the underdog that's starting to show its stuff off, I guess. Not necessarily being more accurate than the Euro, but let's just say the last 2 years, the Canadian got it right when the Euro got it wrong, and especially in terms of December